What's up, everybody? We're back from Colorado. Patagonia, Colombia, IPAs. Just kidding. It was a rad time. That in going to Colorado, we have also managed to hit the 25,000 mile mark on the FXLR Lowrider. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today. Is gonna be the 25,000 mile update review of what, if any, issues we've had with our 2019 Softail FXLR Lowrider. We have a couple add-ons to the bike, but for the most part, as many of y'all know, we ran the stock exhaust for heaven only knows that it was pretty much 2 years going with the stock exhaust, and then just this year we recently upgraded it to a Trash Performance Assault 2-to-1 exhaust. We also paired it with the Assault air cleaner and the Trash Performance Assault cam cover. It's a little see-through window, lets you look at your cam plate, but unfortunately we're still running the stock cam plate, so there's nothing too fancy going on there, but you can see it. And then with our air cleaner, we're running the purpose-built motorcycles window cover. That's the one question I get asked a lot when I'm in person. But before we move on, I want to give a huge shout out to Trevor of Durango Harley Davidson. We're rocking the hat that we were going up to Durango. We decided just to do a straight shot, shoot the gap up to Durango straight from Austin this last week when we went up to Colorado, and he allowed us the ability to just camp out and make the dealership our home for the first 2 days. And again, thank you so much. So if you're in the Colorado area, swing by Durango Harley Davidson. Let him know that you're friends with Connor and just show him some love. It was super dope. And he also gave us the old nickel tour of the dealership. Really good staff there. So again, thank you. And as a quick reminder, be sure and check out all the links down below, where you will find a link to the Teespring store, as well as the Patreon, and of course the Amazon affiliate links. So anytime you click on one of those links, it helps out the channel. And again, appreciate it. Thank you to everyone, as well as thank you to everyone who messaged me this last week when we were going up to Colorado and back to Austin for the safe travel, safe wishes. That really meant a lot. That it was really dope having so many of y'all respond to the stories as we were making progress up to Colorado. That was one of the most rad trips I have yet to do. And if you've been here from the beginning of the channel, y'all know that was one of the main things on my bucket list. And you can look forward to several videos coming from the Colorado adventures. And of course, from the ride Saturday, I want to give a huge shout out to Fatty McJason. It was super dope. It's a fellow YouTuber in the Colorado area with a sick 2020 Lowrider S, and his buddy Pete. They came out, who had one of the most wicked FXDXs I have seen. That they came rolling to the meetup spot at the coffee shop with his 2020 Lowrider S looking mint, and then right behind him is Pete's FXDX with the gold tubes. They just rolled in together, and man, did they make an entrance. Everyone just stopped talking and just admired those bikes. But again, thank you to everyone who came out to that ride. Moto Mountaineer, my dude, him and Andrew stuck with us the whole way out to Estes Park, and it made it for about a 6-hour day. So again, thank you to everyone who came out to the ride, as well as some of y'all who just came out to the meetup that only came to say hi. Again, any form or fashion of you making a ride, whether it be to actually ride the whole distance, just part of it, or just to come and kick it for the pre-ride meetup, means a lot. Thank you to everyone. Again, Colorado was wicked, and we're gonna wind it up and get into this video. So how many miles do you have on this bike, Connor? Well, currently, as of right now, we are at 25,400 and change. We're gonna be 415 roughly around there. That this trip was 2,909 miles from the QT in Cedar Park to all of our destinations in Colorado and back to that same QT in Cedar Park, where you start off with the QT Chronicles, you end with the QT Chronicles. That for the most part, this bike has been top notch from head to toe. The only real issue I have had has been the shift issue, where I think within the first 1,000 miles, and I could dare to say within the first 500, within that first gap, we lost our shifter, that somehow it just rattled loose and adios. So then we took it to the dealership, got it warranted. The right gas cap has a noticeable rattle that many people have had the issue, but if you have it, take it to the dealership and they will warranty. With shifting, I'm not too sure what it is. The dealership could not figure it out. They attributed it to it possibly being rider error. It's mainly during aggressive riding. Now it could be that I don't get a proper shift, but not what they were saying. They were stating that when I shift up, my boot possibly hits the shifter and it shifts it back down, which is not the case. But pretty much where I'm going on a higher gear, if I'm shifting aggressively, going first, second, third, fourth, etc., where you're going first, hitting those RPMs, second, hitting those RPMs, third, and so forth, that a lot of times it's from first into second, I'll be going, hitting those RPMs, shift, and then it's starting to climb, and then I'm at 3,500, and then it shifts back down to where engine brakes me pretty hard. Just, you hear that motor work, and And I'm like, oh man. And one time it happened in a turn, which is really sketch. That was weird. And after that, I took it to the dealership and said, hey, this is doing something. They put it on the dyno. They were unable to replicate that issue for about 40, 50 miles, they said, on the dyno. And that's when they said it could be rider error. We're not able to replicate it. I said, thanks, appreciate it. And shortly after taking it back on the road, it does it again. But who knows? At this point, I said, if it keeps on doing it, I'm just gonna let it keep on doing it. If it messes up the bike, we're still under warranty. And later this October, we expire the factory warranty, and that's when the extended service plan kicks in. So we still got coverage. We're just gonna send that sucker. Oh, 4, there it is. This bike is still solid, and the fact that we run 4,000, 4,500 RPMs, and a lot of times recently we've been hitting that 5,000 mark where we're just staying steady, especially in Colorado. We were hitting some of those mountain roads, we're going down, there's a steep grade, all of a sudden there's a left, like $1 Million Highway. That was a very interesting road that really humbled us quick. We're out here ripping Lime Creek Road, that's the local favorite, and just feeling like we're getting it. We're dancing on the road. You know how you get in that, you're getting that rhythm. But $1 Million Highway, you think it is, but there's so much depth of field where all of a sudden it's the edge of a cliff, you're looking down, there's a gorge, there's a beautiful mountainscape on the other side, so you're trying to figure out, do I look into the curve or am I trying to admire this? It's just interesting. And so also with that, the Saddleman seat has been on that bike since the very beginning. We got it when we got the bike. It has 25,400 miles just as the bike does. And that's another question I get a fair amount is, how do you like that Saddleman? Dyna, we initially ran a Lucky Dave's Diamond Stitch pattern similar to that Saddleman. That I thought that was the more comfortable seat. We even did a comparison buried in some of the older videos, and I thought that the Lucky Dave's was more comfortable than the Saddleman at that time. I compared a Diamond Stitch to a leather tuck and roll of Saddleman. For its design, the ergonomics, my rider profile, the way I like to sit, the Lucky Dave's was just more home for me. And then shortly after a couple of months, I ended up having an issue with my seat that Lucky Dave's was kind enough to warranty, and they reupholstered it at no extra charge, which was extremely awesome. And I decided, let's switch it up. We went from black leather with Diamond Stitch and a couple small little accents to a gray back pylon area and the gripper material tuck and roll, which was exponentially better. I sat on it and it was just home. Tons of miles after that. We were just riding everywhere. We did a ride K in a day with it. Yeah, we went all the way to California with it. We rode through Phoenix, just put down stacked miles on that, and that was the most comfortable option I could have ever had. And I just still to this day preach it up off the mountain, say tuck and roll gripper material from Lucky Dave's. But unfortunately, very few people make seats for the Lowriders. The Street Bob, you have Lucky Dave's, Saddleman, several to choose from, but for some reason the Lowriders are the redheaded stepchilds of the Softails that don't get that many custom seat options, which I'm not too sure why. The ride up, we had a little bit of saddle soreness, but that was after about 12th, 13th hour of going through New Mexico, where I started doing these weird dances on the bike where I was standing up, my boot on my rear set and swapping. I was doing all kinds of dances on it just to alleviate my butt a little bit. And then I was fine, but it's also because we've been doing approximately, the first day was about 17 hours on the bike, the second one was about 4 to 5, and we did 5 to about 8 hours a day for the whole week. Back was another 10 to 12, it was another 12-hour day. So we've really been putting our seat time, and at 25,000, I say it's okay broken in, but it's still pretty rough. It looks great. The aesthetics of the seat looks amazing. It's real aggressive. I like how it accents the bike and it comes down. It really shows the lines. But for comfort on long distances, it's rough. Now, one of the options that you could do is look at getting an Air Hawk. That's going to be a seat pad where you can inflate to adjust your level of firmness, alleviate some of that saddle soreness, because it's real. After this trip, it's definitely real. It was awesome riding up to Colorado, and then having to ride everywhere. You're like, oh man, my legs. And then it's not so bad until the following day when you first start riding, your butt hurts and then your legs are kind of sore, which is interesting. I don't think I've ever been that sore on my legs from riding, but we were just everywhere. The motor, I have yet to have any issues at 25,000, which is really awesome, but never any major motor issues with my Dyna or this one. The Dyna, we ended up trading it out at 40,000, where the issues with the Dyna was mainly the motor mounts. I replaced them about 1 to 2 times a year. And on the Dyna, we had the neck adjustment go out, where since we were riding so many miles after 3 years, that the neck needed adjusted where the right would fall, pretty much the fall away, it would just come into where it would just fly. Where the left fell normal, where pretty much it would just fall as is. The right, you'd you'd barely tap it towards that direction, so it'd be your left on the screen, and it would just fall. So anytime we would take a right turn, it would just immediately go in, where we didn't even have to lean or do anything with it, it just gone. And the left was your traditional left, where you do whatever, either you push the bar, you lean the bike in, you bring the bars in, however you ride, it was just your normal adjustment. And so far with the Lowrider, it felt like I needed a neck bearing adjustment because we were at 20,000, and that's what the Harley book said. And I don't know if it was a placebo effect, but shortly around that time, it seemed like it was doing a little bit of a dip, a little too easy of a turn. Took to the dealership and they said, everything's fine, Connor, you're good to go, it's solid, and then we were good. So that's pretty much it. The leak that we have in the fork tubes, that was from our install. Something happened where we either scratched them, they have micro scratches, or there's a little bit of dust that we have yet to address with those fork seal divots, whatever you call them, those where Motion Pro makes one where you can just take off your dust cap and then you run it along the inside dust seal. And that should alleviate any dirt that might be trapped in that seal, allowing for some of that oil to come out. But we haven't really seen much performance issues decline from that, where I am curious if all the oil that we've been losing incrementally, I'm curious how much oil is left in those tubes. With saying that, that reminds me that even with this kickstand swap that we did with our pack loadout that we had for Colorado, that when I was getting off the bike, I had to be extremely conscious of how I was dismounting the motorcycle, because normally I just get off, step off, and it doesn't really do much. Sure, it shakes a little bit, nothing to write home about. But with me having the bag on the back, my loadout, the Pelican bags, and the tank bag, we were probably at 100 and change, that whenever I would dismount with the loadout and I would do the dynoline, that the front tires, the whole bike would just seem like it was gonna come off, and you can still see that front wheel, how it lifts with me just pulling a little bit of tension on that kickstand, and I'm not ripping it, I'm just doing a nice little sway, just quick. I would dismount and it would teeter. That the first time I was doing it at the gas station, I got off and it was close. Or when we were at the camping spot in Durango at the Silverbow campground, I parked it and I started putting it on the dirt, and it was leaning way too much, where I guarantee had I let it go, down goes the Lowrider. So I had to wait for Oscar, and I asked him, hey, could you do me a favor and find me a rock? I should have brought that rock home with me. And that was it. So that was my parking spot. I would put it on the rock, let it sit, and then I just had to be conscious of where I was parking with my loadout. But for the 2,900 miles that we did, for the countless hours that we hit daily, where we were doing 5 hours and change with the full loadout, the bike did feel hot in the elevation where it felt like it was running. It was running a little different, but other than that, great. It's still running 100%. That my dyno would definitely get way hotter in those temps when we were running higher miles, but this one, it got hot for sure, but nowhere near as hot as the dyno. It's still running mid so far, no issues. Starts up like a champ. Let's give it the old 1-2. Make sure it's in neutral. Freaking mint! And that's gonna do it for this week's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button. If you found any value from it, hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, bump on over and hit that bell to be notified of any future videos when they drop, as soon as they drop. Appreciate y'all, ride safe. And be on the lookout for those Colorado videos dropping ASAP.